Hi, John.
Mert,
Good morning, George.
you're so cute.
You're in the water.
I am, but I'm not drowning. I'm floating, see?
Okay. Hi, Gary.
Good morning, Mert. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Pretty background. Cherry blossoms.
Cherry blossoms, yeah. I don't know whether it's the season or not, but kind of went with what I had on today.
They're kind of like always appropriate, right?
And Bill, he's still at what, Machu Picchu, I guess. What's you doing, John?
Rev Kev.
Yes, I'm spinning plates here.
Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, you are beautiful just the way you are. Step into the love. You're illuminated by the glory of God's love. Step into the truth. From within your abundance overflows. How love can change one life. One life can change the world. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So move with me. Step with me. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So move with me. Step with me. Step into the light.
Good morning, beloveds. I am Sunshine Day. I get to be the spiritual director at the Downey Center for Spiritual Living. And it is my absolute joy and honor to welcome you to our Sunday celebration. Today is August the 15th, 2021. And what a glorious day it is. We have never lived this day before, unless, of course, you've been traveling from the future back to today. And then that is possible. But I say that with the utmost joy, just excited to be here today and to bring spiritual practice to our community, to bring spiritual practice to the world. So whether you are Zooming with us, whether you are live on Facebook with us, or whether you are watching us and streaming on YouTube or a later recording, welcome. You are loved, you are precious, and you are the beloved, and you are welcome to this spiritual community. Let us remind ourselves of our vision, mission, and purpose. And the reason why I do that and the reason why it's important is because we have adopted this way of being in our daily life. And as we remind ourselves of the truth of who we are, as we remember the truth of who we are, as we remember the truth of everyone, it's to that level and to that degree that we actually live a fulfilling life. And so this is what we're about. And see if you connect with this. If you're visiting with us for the very first time, or even if you've been here for many, many years, see if you connect with this and if this actually resonates with you. Because if it does, this is what we're about. So here's our vision and mission. It is by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a fulfilling and joyous life. In Spanish, it sounds like this: a valorar y potenciar todo, inspiramos una vida plena y alegre. By valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. A valorar y potenciar todo, inspiramos una vida plena y alegre. So now's a good time for everyone to, if you're on Zoom, to unmute and say hello to each other. It's also an opportunity for those of you who are streaming with us on Facebook and YouTube to say hello in the chat and be greeted. And if there's anyone who has a comment or a feeling tone around our vision and mission, this is actually a great time for you to speak up and say what comes up for you. But first, let's just all greet one another in love. Hi, everybody.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Okay, by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. Does that bring up anything for anyone? Anyone on Facebook, anyone on YouTube? What does that bring up for you? Going once?
I will say something, even though I was waiting because I'm the practitioner of the day. But I was actually, every time we say that in Spanish, something hits me. And today it particularly hit me because I needed to hear it, is the alegre, like, you know, the joyous life. And there used to be a show, I don't know if anybody but me ever saw it, in California, and it was a bilingual show in the 70s or 80s, and it was called Via Alegre. And the song was la 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 Via Alegre, and
La 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 Via Alegre.
you know it.
Yes.
Yeah, and see, like I needed that today, so that's what I took, and I'm singing my Via Alegre.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that is it, that by valuing and empowering all, right, we inspire that vida alegre, that joyous and fulfilling life, the joy of just living and of just life. And so if that resonates with you today in some small fashion, in some large way, then you're in the right place. And we welcome you. We welcome you here fully each and every time. Another way that we engage in spiritual practice is through meditation and prayer. Leading us today in that meditation and in that prayer is our practitioner, George Weatherford. What I can tell you about him is that he is no stranger to speaking up and speaking out, and that even when the times get rough, he knows and he returns back to this prayerful state of being in consciousness. And so I turn you over to the loving and capable hands of our practitioner today, George Weatherford.
Thank you, Reverend Sunshine. Yeah, and another secret is that when I do this spiritual practice, I'm actually doing it more for me than for you and inviting you along for the ride. But since we're all one, that's okay, right? You know, and I'm going to take a breath right here. I actually may just do a soft gaze instead of a closed eye right now. And I'm actually going to take those words, inspiring a joyous and fulfilling life. And as I take a few minutes to just be aware of my breath, I'm going to have that joyous and fulfilling life kind of in the background settling, not focusing on it, more being aware of my breath. First, noticing how the air might go in and out of my nostrils or out of my mouth. Or how my chest rises and falls. Noticing here in Portland today, there's a little bit of heat in it as I breathe in. I'm noticing that my breaths are a little longer than usual, and that's okay. And yours might be a little shorter, or they may just be a regular breath. It's just being aware. And now, as I tend to do, I'm going to throw a little craziness in here and invite you to allow that breath to be a joyous and fulfilling breath. Showing up exactly as it shows up and knowing the joy and the fulfillment in that breath. And as I'm aware of my breath, I'm aware of my body right now. Not focusing on any one thing, but being aware. Being aware of any comfort, any discomfort. Not to inspect it or to analyze it, but just being aware of where I'm at right now. Maybe noticing any itches or any tickles. as much without judgment as possible, being aware. And if I start to zoom in on something or any pain or any pleasure, I'm going to just repeat to myself the breath, be aware of my breath. And then allow those feelings about my body, those awarenesses to come back in. And breathing in that joyous and fulfilling breath into my body just as it is, exactly as I am showing up right here, right now. And aware of any emotions or thoughts that might be streaming through. I like to think of them as clouds in the sky, and as much as I can, I just watch them passing. Not trying to push them in or pull them in or push them away, but allowing them to be just as I am. Again, focusing in this joyous and fulfilling breath. How I am right now is joyous and fulfilling. We have said that as I value and empower all, I inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. And part of that all is me. It's my breath, it's my body, it's my emotions, it's my thoughts. And so as I value and empower me, I inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. And so I just invite us to anchor into that in prayer. Again, as I value and empower all, I inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. And what I know is that the truth of that all is that all is God, and God is all that is. It is all the love, it is all the joy, it is all the peace, it is all the prosperity. And it is everything else that shows up as me. So in that, I just open to the awareness of God as me, as all of me, as I show up in this moment. And as I open that awareness to God as me, to all that God is as the life that I am, as God breathing me, I know this truth as each one of us here. But truly, in this time, we have moved from God as all to God as me, and back to God as all. It is all one. And so I know this God presence here and right now. I feel it, I know it, I allow it. I revel in it. And in that, I know what I had just said is that via alegre, that vida alegre, that joyous life as the very heart and soul of our time together, of this connection that we make on Sundays and the connection that we make beyond Sundays. It's the heart and soul of this community, and this is a community that extends beyond this Zoom room. And this is a community that is anchored in each one of us, and it is blessed through the words today of Reverend Sunshine. And in that, I know that her words and her feelings and her presence, just as it is a blessing to each of us. And so I just give thanks for our time together. I am so excited to be here. I am so blessed to be in this presence of God and to be part of this presence of God. And so we just release this time together to God, knowing that all that needs to be will be, knowing it is good, knowing that we are in the vida alegre. And so it is.
Just give everybody a moment to drink that all in. Thank you so much, George. And so, George, some love for that wonderful time in meditation and a really deep down and good invocation. Thank you so much for that, George.
I led you in and forgot to bring you out, so I apologize.
What you did was brilliant and beautiful and perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
Well, I have a couple of announcements to share with you as we continue to move through our time, our gathering, our beloved community time together today. And practitioner Jan Hartman is continuing her prac chat, and gosh, her next meeting would actually be the 19th, not the 12th. So I apologize for that. So the link's in the email, and I trust that you all join her Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time for an hour of God's good morning. And then today we are going to gather at 10,000 Paramount Boulevard at our actual center from 4 to 6 p.m. And we'll be asking toward the end of the service how many folks are planning to join us there today. Or if you want, alternatively, just respond in the chat saying you're going to be there or not. We'll be there, but we're just trying to get an idea of what kind of a crowd to expect. So thank you for seeing you there, or physically or metaphysically this afternoon. And wanted to share with you that we're having, well, there is a celebration of life for Reverend Judy's son, David, and that is going to be Saturday, August 28th at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. And the location is 9812 Hamilton Avenue, Huntington Beach, California. That's also sent out in the email, so you can get that information from the weekly email. And also just a reminder that Reverend Judy is beginning her Changes Everywhere class, Change Happens class. And that meets from 6 to 8:30 p.m. via Zoom. It's beginning September 13th, runs weekly through November 1st. It is an investment of $100 for 8 weeks of possibilities through change. I love that. And you can just contact us via email or use the links on the website to let us know that you want to register for the class and be there. I wanted to thank everybody that comes together to present this service to you, and that begins with our practitioner of the day, George Weatherford. Thank you very much. To our spiritual director, and a magnificent message from Reverend Sunshine. To those that are out interacting and connecting with folks on live stream, our live stream moderators, thank you. To our leadership council, for all the work that they continue to do behind the scenes to be good stewards of our community. and to our music team, who are always in the process of creating something magnificent and sharing that with our community and helping us transform. And to all of you for joining us here today, thank you so much. I so appreciate and look forward to our beloved community every Sunday. And now back to spiritual practices, as we've had this information about our community. And our next spiritual practice for the day is giving as a spiritual practice. Now, there are a number of ways that you can share your gift with our community. You can mail your gift to 10,000 Paramount Boulevard, Downey, California, 90240. You can use your bill pay service, or you can use the donate links or buttons on the email and on the website. And that way you can use your credit or debit card. And once I finish the share, I'll put the donate link up in the chat. Now, this becomes a spiritual practice because everybody is in the process of giving and receiving in some way. And the idea is to expand your consciousness around giving. It is to examine the generosity through which you are giving. It is to understand how blessed your life already is, and that you are bestowing blessings on others. It's a way for you to feel connected or in the flow of some great prosperity that's already so about you and it's already so around you. So it's just a process to get more in that flow of sharing and giving. In this case, you're circulating to something that feeds you spiritually, something that really directly expands your consciousness. So I invite you just to take a moment to look, examine, choose those qualities of, be it abundance, a prosperity, a generosity, a feeling of blessing, of thanksgiving, of appreciation, of something good in your life, as we say our statement of giving together. And I'm going to read it in English. Some of you might read it in Spanish. Pick your favorite way of saying the statement of giving. So here we go.
La
Abundance
abundancia
flows in my
fluye
life.
por mi vida.
I am
Estoy
blessed with
bendecido con
prosperity. I
prosperidad.
give with
Doy con un
generosity.
sentimiento de
Yes.
generosidad. Sí.
I tithe on
Diezmo
faith,
sobre la fe y
belief,
la
and with a
creencia y con
consciousness
una
of love.
conciencia de amor.
My
Mi
gift is a
regalo
divine
es la
circulation
circulación
through me
divina a través
that
de
now
mí, que
benefits
ahora
and grows our
beneficia
spiritual
y hace
community
crecer nuestra
and beyond.
comunidad espiritual y
And now
más
it is.
allá.
Now it is.
Y ahora es.
So I invite you, as we sing this song, just to prepare your heart, your mind, your consciousness for this magnificent message.
I'm walking in the Spirit, walking in the Spirit, walking in the Spirit of one God, loving in the Spirit, loving in the Spirit, loving in the Spirit of one God, moving in the Spirit. Oh, I'm moving in the Spirit. Oh, the Spirit. Oh, God. Growing in the Spirit.
What a joy it is to be with you again. Let me just adjust this right here. Ah, beautiful. And to continue moving forward this month. This month, our theme of pause for guidance. Pausing for guidance. How often are we as human beings, as spiritual beings in this human expression, ripping and running, doing things, and not taking a pause for guidance? It's important this month to recognize that and to actually begin to implement behaviors and activities that actually support our well-being. This month, while we've been pausing for a cause, I've had the opportunity to ask myself, am I stuck in beliefs and behaviors that are destructive? Am I stuck in beliefs and behaviors that are destructive? So let's take a look. This year so far, we've been looking at the annual theme of timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. What we know is that a people without vision fail. People without vision perish. And at Downey Center for Spiritual Living, we have had vision, our vision and mission. We are seeing ourselves at our new location. We're seeing ourselves thriving and uplifting, and we're seeing ourselves living our best life. We also have this vision and mission within Centers for Spiritual Living, where we see a world that works for everyone, that we envision a world that has renewed its emphasis on beauty and nature and love through the resurgence. In other words, it's coming back, the resurgence of creativity, art, and the aesthetics. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all creation. And since that is our vision and mission, this month we take a look at pausing for guidance. And as we pause for guidance, today we're going to talk about sparking imagination. And I just want to give a shout out to our beloved Reverend Kevin Cottle, who not only does all these things for our center behind the scenes, but he actually wrote the outline for today's talk. And the outline is absolutely wonderful in that as we pause for guidance and as we're sparking imagination, we're actually tapping into the timeless wisdom and the evolutionary vision that is necessary to catapult us and to move us forward in our daily living. Now, what I love about our talks and about what we're continuing to do each and every day is that our way of being is a practical way. This is all about practical application. I know many places where we can go where there's lots of projection, and there's, oh, you could do this and you can do that and you can have this and you can have that. But we're talking about a practical application for sparking imagination. Now, Ernest Holmes tells us in our Science of Mind book that creation is the play of life upon itself through divine self-imagination. Creation is the play of life upon itself through its divine self-imagination. So in other words, the outpicturing of life, the play of life is creation. And the only way to have creation is through divine self-imagination. As a matter of fact, in our Science of Mind book, he says it here, the creative power responds to feeling more quickly than to any other mental attitude. Now, not only are we a teaching of oneness and wholeness, not only are we a teaching and a philosophy that states that God is right where you are, that there's one power, one presence, one life, and that life created everything out of itself through some act of involution. We now have evolution, and that act upon itself created all that is seen and unseen, the galaxies, all of the fish in the sea, and the birds in the air, and everything has that essence. We are a teaching and a philosophy that recognizes the oneness of all life. And in that, we're reminded that we, because of who we are, because of what we are, we're the unique, unrepeatable, magnificent, powerful way that God shows up in human form. Because of who we are, we have the power to co-create, that our thoughts become things. And it is only through our imagination that we create that feeling tone that is generated from our imagining. That is how we create. As you think about your particular life and your living, you can see how this is made manifest and how it has been made manifest. Think about what schooling or college you wanted to go to, and how you applied yourself, and where you studied, and you wanted to buy a car, and what car did you want, and you could actually begin to see yourself and picture yourself and imagine yourself driving a particular vehicle, living in a particular neighborhood, marrying the love of your life. All of these things have been made manifest because you have dared to imagine. And now some of us, as a result of living long enough and breathing in and out long enough, may have become a little bit jaded, maybe even saying, hey, sunshine, this whole imagination thing, this is all for Disney movies and fantasies and Marvel comics and all of that stuff. Really, when we're thinking about imagination now, like, I'm too old for that, or that just doesn't work for me. And so I'm here to simply share with you and to encourage you to pause for guidance, as the monthly theme would suggest. To pause for guidance. And in that guidance, there may be a circumstance, a situation, whether it be related to your family, to your health, to your marriage. It may be related to relationships or finance. It may be just related to our state of affairs in our cities, in our states, in our world, in our country. That when we pause for guidance, when a circumstance or a situation comes up, that we have spiritual tools at hand that we can use for good in life, not only for our personal good, but for the good of all. And so in that pause for guidance, You may not think that imagination has a part to play, but it absolutely does. First of all, you are not broken. With that said, right where you are, there is a fertile and vivid imagination. Your inner vision is filled and flows with a limitless amount of creativity, new thoughts, feelings, ideas, and it is there. You may not notice it, but it is there and it is ready. It is there at your disposal to simply be tapped into and sparked. What I know about the Downey Center for Spiritual Living community is that we are filled with amazing artists and engineers and people who are always creating and always tapping into it. And that age has nothing to do with our imagination or our ability to create. It all has to do with our willingness to simply be present and spark that imagination, because once that imagination is sparked, other sparks, other creative ideas begin to flow. Now, I remember going once to a minister's retreat, and one of the folks there introduced me to this way of thinking that actually sparks my imagination. So I wanted to share it with you. And she simply called it what if up. What if up? And it's the what if. It's asking myself the what if question, but instead of going to the doom and gloom of what could possibly happen, that I actually do what if and then look up and consider what are the most magnificent ways that something could actually come to pass. So, some of you might think it's silly, but what if I got this job? What might that look like? What would be the joy of this job? And to just begin to look up and to begin to spark that imagination about the changes and the differences and the camaraderie and the leadership that could begin to flow from me if I got that particular job. Or what if, let's say you're facing a health situation, using your imagination could actually put you in the feeling tone and can actually create the necessary energy, the necessary healing juices within you to propel you forward. Because again, Ernest Holmes says it's that feeling that creates. There is a creative process. Our creative process says that we plant a seed, we let it go. We know that it's already done and it becomes made manifest as long as we're feeling it. And that feeling, when we're talking about imagination, it is that feeling tone of imagination. That's what makes all of those movies like so wonderful, because even for just 20, 30 minutes, when you're in imagination, your brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. And so, since your brain cannot tell the difference, it's important for us to begin to place ourselves in that feeling tone of feeling good, that feeling tone of all is well, that feeling tone of life is for me and never against me. Our Science of Mind book says that imagination carries with it feeling and conviction, which means life and action. So as I begin to feel my way into the joy of life, as I begin to feel my way into everything is coming together for my highest good, the conviction rises up, and I'm taking the necessary actions for my life. I love what Albert Einstein says: imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. So how does one begin to allow imagination to happen? How does one begin to really allow our imagination to have its way with us? Well, you can always jump into the what if up, but we also have spiritual practices. Our spiritual practices of prayer and meditation, our spiritual practices of visioning. Reverend Kevin does our visioning every month for us, and he leads us in that. And one of the things that he likes to talk about, which I love attributing to him, is this idea of mini visionings and incorporating that into our lives on a daily basis. I mean, begin to see yourself waking up tomorrow morning, and upon awakening, upon embarking upon our spiritual practices of prayer and meditation, but what about this opportunity that we have for a mini visioning? That what it looks like is simply from that calm and receptive state. And when I talk about it, I like to close my eyes, right? From that, and I invite you to do the same right now, unless you're driving, of course. But from this calm and receptive state, you can simply ask yourself and ask that indwelling power and presence, what is for my highest and best today? What adventures are available? And simply begin to ask those open-ended questions and watch and feel and sense with all of your senses how life rushes to answer that for you in a way and in a manner that you understand. You see, it's always in a language that you understand. It could be that language of feeling, that language of maybe you hear a particular word, or maybe you see a particular color, or your sense of smell and taste are heightened. But it's simply getting into a calm and receptive state. And when we ask those questions of this indwelling power and presence, and are receptive to receive that divine impression, that divine feeling, that intuition, that hit, that spark, all of a sudden that spark of imagination, that spark of life, that spark of divine guidance comes to us. And we can begin to use what comes in and from us to live our amazing and genuine life. It's interesting because as this becomes a regular practice, it is actually refreshing, and it actually allows that spark of imagination to activate the feeling tone. And as that feeling tone is activated, what we're doing is participating in the creative process, which is simply planting a seed in spirit. We're planting that seed. We're planting that seed. We're having that thought. We're entertaining that thought. And that thought, as a result of the feeling tone that's attached to it, that feeling of, yes, this is mine. Yes, this is the peaceful and calm life that I want to live. Yes, I can feel myself running through the meadow. Even though I may not be able to physically run, that opportunity of imagining myself running through the meadow begins to release those chemicals, those healing vibrations within one, and begins to put that smile on our face. Participating in spiritual practice like this on a regular basis begins to put us in the mindset of si se puede. Yes, I can. Yes, it is possible. And when we're in that feeling tone, when we're in that mindset, in that consciousness of all things are possible, and this is possible. Yes, I have it now, even though it physically may not be in my hand tangible, as I can begin to imagine myself with my hands on the steering wheel, as I can feel myself embracing my loved ones, as I can see and feel and move into that feeling tone, already that sense of having it belongs to me. And when that sense belongs to me as a result of my imagination, of my proper use of imagination, then as Albert Einstein said, it is the future of what is to come. In other words, I'm already satiated. I have already manifested the thing itself because I am in that realm of feeling it. You know, as we begin to actually take these words out of this is possible to I'm going to try this on. I'm going to try it. You know, what I'm going to invite you to do is to prove me wrong. You know, to do this for 90 days, to actually begin to put the action in place and to begin to spark that imagination within you, that creativity within you, and watch and journal or jot down, you know, from start to finish, how you are feeling and what is shifting and changing in your life. Because as you add and amplify your intention to be so mindful in your vivid and fertile imagination, things absolutely shift and change. You know, Ernest Holmes speaks of, you know, that we can talk about the science of mind philosophy all the time, but how many of us are actually going to prove that it works? So this is not my challenge, but this is my invitation, beloved, that if there's an area in your life that you're not thrilled with, to begin to use the power of imagination, the spiritual practices of prayer and meditation and doing visioning and mini visionings to have a shift. You can have that shift. And notice each time when you have a new thought or a new idea or a new inkling or a new intuition, you know, in those moments of imagination, notice the emotional change in your body and notice how your imagination begins to shift your entire being. What I can share with you quickly is that people have healed their bodies and have healed illness through the power of imagination. I believe that we can cure the illnesses of this day and time, that we can provide food for each and every person, that we can actually break down or tear down borders if we were to each begin collectively and individually imagining this world that works for all creation. This is what I continue to hold on to, and I invite you to do the same. And so it is. And so, beloveds, it is now that time where we have an opportunity to do our closing prayer. And our closing prayer is a song. And it is said that a prayer that is sung is a prayer prayed twice. So it's got some good juju, good juices, good love, and it is powerful and doubled. I want to remind you that after the service today that we're going to be hanging out for a little bit just to chat and check in with one another. So if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, please go over to our website so you can get the link to Zoom and that you might be with us afterwards for some fellowship. Know that you are loved. Now, beloveds, rise to your feet or rise in consciousness as we sing our closing prayer.
This is our prayer.
We're having technical difficulties. We'll start that in just a second. There we go. Oh,
Hang
we are going to pray. Don't worry about that.
Oh, gosh. Hang on.
Here we go, beloveds.
This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
Know that you are loved. Thanks so much for being with us. Have a great day, everybody.